bring peace and everything, but they haven't. And so what has that done to them?
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a
lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure, right.
And you've got your family now, but you're still trying to write the song because you got to save the world.
Dealing with the inevitable, just mortality. And so to see how Stu handled that with grace and dignity, and how it's encouraging people to embrace those things and to be supportive and loving and never giving up on people.
Have you always talked about it?
It's a balance. I don't want to jam it down anybody's throat, but I do not deny my faith. That's an even bigger sin. You know, it's not popular in my industry, but, you know, I cannot deny my faith.
Ever wonder why Mark Wahlberg, the muscle-bound box office titan, suddenly seems to be under the spotlight, but not in the way you'd expect? Well, it looks like Hollywood's elite has found their next target, and none other than the enigmatic Keanu Reeves is here to spill the tea.
You know, to start to think about in those ways, and to think about impermanence, you know, and mortality.
That's right, folks. Keanu's pulling back the curtain on the real reason why Marky Mark's been dodging more than just paparazzi lately. And trust us, the truth is more explosive than any action flick. So, what's really going on behind the scenes? Buckle up as we dive into the wild world of Hollywood power plays, secret exposures, and why Mark Wahlberg might just be the next big name to face the heat. When big names like Diddy and Jay-Z found themselves in hot water, it really rocked the industry. Suddenly, everyone started talking, saying this kind of stuff had been going on forever. Mark Wahlberg even chimed in, calling out the industry's toxic culture, and people are wondering if that's why he stepped away from it all. Mark Wahlberg has seriously moved on from his rapper days. He's not trying to bury his past, but he's definitely telling fans to take it easy and just laugh at his old music videos. In fact, in a 2016 chat with Men's Fitness, he said, "I look back at it now and I'm like, what the hell was I doing?" So yeah, he's not exactly proud of it, but he's cool with where he's at now.
It's all the mistakes, it's all the failures, it's all the losses that make you understand and grow, and you know, just hopefully get it right the next time around.
Before Mark Wahlberg became an Academy Award nominee, he was living a whole different life. Back then, he wasn't known as Mark Wahlberg, but as Marky Mark, leading the Funky Bunch and dropping tracks as a chart-topping rapper. Yep, before he became a Hollywood heavyweight, Mark was making a name for himself in the music world with a massive hit under his belt. To really understand how Marky Mark blew up in the music scene, you've got to rewind to the 80s. That's when he first stepped into the spotlight as an early member of one of the biggest boy bands of the time. It was a decade before he skyrocketed to fame, setting the stage for his eventual takeover of the entertainment world.
Time to break forth the rhythm and the rhyme. I'ma get mine.
In the early days of New Kids on the Block, Mark Wahlberg was part of the group alongside his brother Donnie. It was an intriguing lineup, but it wasn't the one that would go on to sell millions of records. Eventually, Mark left the group, and once the classic lineup was set, New Kids on the Block broke out in a big way. During the late 80s and early 90s, New Kids on the Block absolutely dominated the music scene, cranking out hit after hit and skyrocketing to superstardom. They were everywhere, on the charts, in stores as toys, on a dedicated hotline, and even in their own animated series. Their influence was massive, making them a cultural phenomenon. One person added, "Mark is very articulate, but he was always funny. I really never dug his work, to be honest, but the thing is, now that I'm older, I'm learning to appreciate a lot of things that life's funny that way as the years go by. I see a lot of that from him. He knows he's very lucky to be so blessed." While the band was riding high, Mark Wahlberg was busy working on his rap game, waiting for his chance to shine. That chance finally came when a familiar face helped launch Marky Mark into the limelight. Once he hit the spotlight, there was no looking back. Marky Mark was on his way to becoming a household name.
Everything, I'm back, and Boogie Nights too. Burt Reynolds keeps grabbing me and ripping the makeup. I'm like, what the fuck you doing this shit? We're doing that scene where I'm telling him it's my I'm ready to fuck.
Mark Wahlberg decided to step away from his rap career because he didn't feel confident in his abilities. Despite scoring several top 10 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, he wasn't satisfied with his skills as a rapper and chose to shift his focus to acting. Even though he had some big successes in the rap game, Wahlberg ultimately left that path behind to fully commit to his new career in Hollywood. Looking back, Wahlberg sometimes reflects on how different his life might have been if he had stuck with his original plan to be a full-time rapper. He gained major popularity with hits like Good Vibrations and was a big name in the 90s rap scene, but he eventually made a successful transition to acting. Now, even with all his accomplishments in film, Wahlberg occasionally wonders what could have been if he had kept rapping, imagining how his career might have unfolded on that different path.
Your reaction to Father Stu, those are the things. That's you know, my reward for the work that we do.
While Mark Wahlberg was transitioning to Hollywood, Eminem was making his debut and eventually became one of the best rappers of all time. A resurfaced interview with IGN recently brought up a question about this. Wahlberg was asked if he thought he could have been on Eminem's level if he hadn't stepped away from rap. Wahlberg's response was, "Could I have been Eminem? I certainly hope not. I like Eminem. I think Eminem's really talented, but I'm trying to go a completely different route." He further quoted saying that he and Eminem have completely different tastes. "I love my mother, man. Are you crazy? No, I can't be a bad influence on anybody, but I think there's a lot more to what he does than that." There's certainly a shock value that's kind of gotten him to a certain place, but the guy's got a lot of talent. It's just, you know, I came from the real thing and I was trying desperately to get away from that. Even though Mark Wahlberg's music career didn't turn out as he had initially planned, he has no regrets about using it as a form of self-expression. However, when comparisons started popping up between him and Eminem, mainly because of their shared white backgrounds and Eminem's turbulent past, Wahlberg wasn't a fan. He actively distanced himself from those associations, disliking the idea of being seen as a performer who relies on shock value. Instead, Wahlberg wanted to focus on delivering meaningful messages through his work. He aimed to avoid controversy and instead sought to make a positive impact, making sure his contributions resonated with both critics and fans alike. For Wahlberg, it was all about substance and leaving a lasting positive impression with his art. Despite the potential wealth and fame that a similar path might have brought, Mark Wahlberg chose a different career trajectory. Uninterested in taking a route that involves public confrontations and controversies, he shifted his focus to acting instead. Wahlberg sought success in an industry that allowed him to express himself differently, aligning more with his preferences and values. Wahlberg went on to say, No, I love my mother, man. Are you crazy? No, I can't be a bad influence on anybody. But I think there's a lot more to what he does than that. There's certainly a shock value that's kind of gotten him to a certain place. But the guy's got a lot of talent. It's just, you know, I came from the real thing and I was trying desperately to get away from that. I'm trying to work as hard as possible to be the best person I can be to everybody, Wahlberg stated. I mean, my faith and the love that I have in my heart is something that I want to share and spread. Doing S to get paid is not okay because I truly believe it is extremely difficult for a rich man to get into heaven. You know what they say, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get through the gates of heaven. Mark Wahlberg made a decisive move away from the music industry before his career had the chance to fully take off, ultimately proving to be a successful decision in the long run. Wahlberg, now recognized as one of the highest paid actors of his generation, left behind a multi-year contract with his record company, rendering him unable to secure representation with another label until that contractual commitment concluded. This contractual constraint became the catalyst for change in Wahlberg's career, leading to his departure from the music industry. Reflecting on his decision, Wahlberg cited the challenges he faced in the music world due to his association with his brother's group and his troubled past. In an interview with IGN, he explained his reluctance to follow the common practice among rappers of openly discussing their troubled backgrounds to boost their careers. Wahlberg chose not to promote his troubled past, emphasizing a different approach to his public image and creative expression. Wahlberg went on saying, "Then when it came out, it was like, oh, this kid is a monster. So acting was the last thing I wanted to do. I was put in a position by my record company and kind of pushed in a direction that I didn't want to go, obviously for their financial benefit. So I said I was going to wait out my contract, which would have taken 6 years. Rather than waiting out a multi-year contract or producing albums that didn't align with his artistic vision, Mark Wahlberg made a career pivot to become an actor. However, this doesn't entirely rule out the possibility of Wahlberg making a return to the hip-hop scene. He has acknowledged that, under the right circumstances, he might be open to rapping again. "Give me 2 days to rehearse," Wahlberg stated. "I can just get back into the swing of things. I need to just hear it and feel it." Now, after leaving the rapping, he got into acting and business. And when we talk about business in the industry, the first name our mind catches is Diddy's. Yes, he joined hands with Diddy, and his fans believe that's when everything got messed up. Mark Wahlberg and Sean Combs embarked on a unique business venture by investing in Aqua Hydrate, a high-performance alkaline water brand. This collaboration, popular in the United States, aimed to launch in the UK by the end of February 2018. Wahlberg played a significant role in bringing the product to the UK market and actively promoted it on social media. Wahlberg has diversified his investments, including a health and supplements company called Performance Inspired Nutrition. Additionally, he co-owns his family's burger chain, Wahlburgers. With a robust portfolio of business ventures, Wahlberg earned the title of Hollywood's highest-paid actor in August 2017, having amassed an impressive $66 million in earnings over the previous 12 months. Given both the artist's history, it is natural for them to work together on business as well as music. However, now Mark thinks that it was his biggest mistake to work with Diddy. The rapper-turned-actor feels that the interference of the studio played a big part in pushing him toward the film industry. He wanted a different kind of music, but he was asked to do something that didn't excite him. He also claimed that his brother, making millions of dollars while he was struggling, left him with no choice. According to The Ellen Show, he said, "They wanted me to be a little more commercial, take my pants off more, do a duet with a girl singer. They didn't want me to do what I wanted to do and to be who I am. So I just got a little frustrated by that." And he further added, "I think I could have been a lot more successful had I been allowed to do what I wanted to do. I think the record company had one specific idea, and they wanted to go for that," he said. "I had just gotten out of jail, and I wanted to make a record. I saw my brother making millions of dollars, and I'm still struggling, so I kind of compromised a little bit. But when they continued to push me further in the opposite direction, that's when I decided not to make another record and to wait out my contract." The actor has been profoundly affected by recent events, leading him to disclose that he rarely indulges in rap music these days. Although there's a possibility of a comeback, it won't align with the established image. Moreover, in his earlier years, the two-time national award-winning actor was involved in a series of offenses. He was once part of a rough-and-tumble group with a notably prejudiced mindset. During a confrontation, he engaged in a physical altercation, causing Johnny Trin, the victim, to sustain a left eye injury and endure racial slurs from the actor, who was a teenager at the time. Mark, owing to his age during the incident, served just 45 days of a 2-year sentence for attempted murder. In a later development, Hollywood star Mark Wahlberg took the opportunity to reconcile with the victim and address their past conflicts. After more than 2 decades of silence, Johnny Trin disclosed that the actor hadn't caused him serious harm. Talking to Daily Mail, the victim said he was already blind in one eye after being injured while fighting the communists in the Vietnam War. "I was not blinded by Mark Wahlberg. He did hurt me, but my left eye was already gone. He was not responsible for that. He was young and reckless, but I forgive him now. Everyone deserves another chance. I would like to see him get a pardon. He should not have the crime hanging over him any longer. He paid for his crime when he went to prison," he said. Wahlberg also recollected the incident from his adolescence during a conversation with The Wrap. The star said, "I didn't need that. I spent 28 years righting the wrong. I was relieved to find out that the injuries to his eye had occurred in the early 70s and not from the incident that happened that night. But I was able to meet with him and his wife and his daughter and apologize for those horrific acts. Some good did come out of it." If not for the internet, one might assume that Mark Wahlberg's biggest misstep was starring in Daddy's Home 2. However, in 1986, when he was just 15, Wahlberg and 2 friends engaged in troubling behavior by repeatedly harassing and physically attacking young black school children in Boston. As per the Massachusetts Attorney General's account, Wahlberg and his companions pursued a group of children on mopeds, shouting racial slurs and throwing rocks, with an alarming incident continuing the next day during a beach field trip. During this encounter, they again hurled racial slurs and rocks, resulting in injuries to a black student and a white student, prompting their teacher to call for an ambulance. The ambulance driver intervened, chasing away the teens responsible for the A.
Don't give me that look. No. It isn't the one who talks the most. You're an NPR host tops, okay? The literary person in here.
But people were immediately skeptical of Wahlberg's motivations for seeking a pardon. The Hollywood Reporter noted at the time that it likely had less to do with moral absolution and more to do with the building of his crappy burger joint chain. Wahlberg literally wrote on his application for the pardon that he was concerned that he might be denied a concessionaire's license on the basis of my prior record, an apparent reference to a planned expansion of his Wahlburgers franchise. As of 2006, he hadn't even apologized to his victims, seemingly underscoring that this wasn't about making things right so much as it was about hawking greasy slabs of beef. And Wahlberg's behavior following these incidents seems to indicate that he hadn't committed to turning his life around. Yeah, he kept to people as an adult.
Actor Mark Wahlberg wants to be officially cleared of a 1988 incident in which he hit a Vietnamese man in the head with a wooden stick and punched a second Vietnamese man in the face.
Wahlberg eventually apologized to Tron, who graciously acknowledged that he deserved a second chance. However, other past victims were less forgiving, expressing skepticism about the possibility of genuine change and stating, "If you're a racist, you're always going to be a racist." Although Wahlberg later dropped his pardon request, he asserted that it wasn't necessary, emphasizing that he had spent 28 years righting the wrong. However, questions remain about the sincerity of this assertion. But how was it exposed? It is all because of Keanu, because he talked about all the skeptical things going on in the Hollywood. Keanu Reeves indeed stands out in the world of celebrities for his unique approach to fame. While many public figures' lowest moments or controversies tend to garner the most attention, Keanu's enduring appeal comes from his remarkable down-to-earth and humble demeanor. His authenticity and genuine nature have earned him a dedicated and adoring fan base, but maybe he has failed to earn Hollywood elites' favor. He claims to have observed genuinely sinister deeds committed by these elites, which led him to defy their authority. It may seem unusual that people applaud Keanu Reeves for displaying basic human decency, highlighting how Hollywood has significantly diminished our expectations of celebrities. Despite Keanu's remarkable achievements in Hollywood, there is a side of him that strongly rejects the allure and extravagance associated with Tinseltown. The reasons behind his sentiments are anything but lighthearted. Keanu's widely recognized reputation as a truly kind-hearted individual could easily overshadow the profound animosity he holds towards the unsettling and formidable aspects of the entertainment industry. Beneath his affable exterior lies a deeply ingrained resentment stemming from his genuine disquiet with the industry's superficiality and manipulative tendencies. According to him, there was an independent element that first adopted digital, but when it got to Hollywood and the mainstream, every role had to be looked at. People lost their jobs. Industries have fallen because of this transition, but jobs are also being created. It is nature, and it can be brutal sometimes, and it can be beautiful. According to Keanu, the prevailing culture in Hollywood appears to prioritize power over ethics, prompting him to engage in a personal crusade against the darker facets of the entertainment world. The recent apprehension of Harvey Weinstein brought the shadowy underbelly of Hollywood's elite to the forefront, exposing the disconcerting truth of the industry. With numerous actors, directors, and producers facing allegations of misconduct, the industry's unpleasant realities were undeniably laid bare.
We're lucky to be there, and we're just trying to have fun.
Keanu emphasized that the problem of exploiting young, aspiring women might not be the only issue plaguing Hollywood. He also drew attention to something even more disconcerting: the presence of sinister elements such as individuals with unusual practices like blood drinking within the industry. Recently, a website spun a wholly fabricated narrative involving actor Keanu Reeves, falsely asserting that he made a statement in Milan suggesting that Hollywood elites employed the blood of babies to get high. This concocted story gained significant traction on Facebook, amassing over 26,000 engagements. It was shared not only on the verified Your Newswire platform, but also on associated pages of The People's Voice. He said during an interview, "Yeah, digitally. I don't mind if someone takes a blink out during an edit, but early on, in the early 2000s, or it might have been the 90s, I had a performance change, they added a tear to my face, and I was just like, huh? It was like, I don't even have to be here." During the production of The Devil's Advocate, Keanu Reeves made a remarkable choice that few actors would even contemplate. He willingly let go of something that most would fiercely hold on to, a substantial paycheck. The Devil's Advocate is a supernatural thriller that delves into the murky realms of success and temptation, centering around a young lawyer. As casting discussions progressed, not even the Oscar-winning Al Pacino, who was approached for the role of John Milton, could be swayed initially. He declined the offer 3 times, expressing reservations about the character's cliched nature. Pacino went on to suggest Robert Redford and Sean Connery as potential candidates for the role. Allegedly, Keanu agreed to a substantial reduction in his fee, amounting to millions of dollars in order to help meet Al Pacino's salary demands. Once again, Keanu's selflessness proved to be beneficial for all parties involved, except for himself. The movie eventually raked in over $61 million in box office revenue, with Al Pacino's performance garnering significant praise as a standout highlight within the film.
Right, but I mean, but I don't know. Didn't you remember that scene where Al Pacino is talking, and I'm in his apartment, and he's saying, you know.
It wasn't an isolated incident where he sacrificed a portion of his earnings. About 3 years later, Keanu Reeves reportedly agreed to a significant 90% reduction in his salary to co-star alongside Gene Hackman in The Replacements. However, public opinion about Keanu's talent was divided, with some considering him as mediocre. Nevertheless, his performance in Bram Stoker's Dracula, an acclaimed gothic horror film where he portrayed Jonathan Harker, proved to be both artistically and financially triumphant. Even the film's director said, "We knew that it was tough for him to affect an English accent. He tried so hard. That was the problem, actually. He wanted to do it perfectly. And in trying to do it perfectly, it came off as stilted. I tried to get him to just relax with it and not do it so fastidiously. So maybe I wasn't as critical of him, but that's because I like him personally so much. To this day, he's a prince in my eyes." Amidst these challenges, Keanu Reeves remained steadfast, never yielding to the temptation of compromising his principles for the sake of wealth and celebrity status. He was not navigating this journey alone. His loyal fans stood firmly by his side, consistently expressing their affection and unwavering support for him. And so does Mark Wahlberg. That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye